Hi guys, it's me, Dani. This is the second time I filmed this video because last time it turned off in the middle, and honestly I tend to say things multiple times before I get them right. So here I am again to talk about racism. I have always grown up in very white neighborhoods. I have lived a very privileged life. I have never thought about my next meal. I never lived in a house that wasn't at least 4,000 square feet. I generally have never seen anything other than that. I was going to make this video to kind of give people resources or educate people a little bit or whatever, but I decided that instead I want to talk about my own privilege and my own mindset, and maybe it will help some of you guys watching with yours. Before I talk about myself, I just want to say that it's easy to watch the news or to see Instagram or whatever and say racism is not a thing. Slavery ended a long time ago. I don't know anyone who kills black people or who hates black people or who's in the KKK. It's not a thing. And I had that belief until recently. I am here to publicly confront and admit that I have not been a person who has been inclusive or anti-racist or sympathetic or really anything until the last couple of years, because I did not understand the history of our country. So if I were to talk to anybody in this video, it would be to anyone who is watching who has that same mindset. If there are any young white men or women watching this video who have thought those things that I thought earlier, that racism isn't a thing because slavery ended or because integration is a thing, I'm talking to you in this video. I am not a history professor, and I'm not going to try to explain the hundreds of years of racism that have happened in our country. There is an incredible movie called The 13th on Netflix, and it's mainly about mass incarceration, but it really beautifully and horrifyingly tells the story of racism in our country from the late 1800s to now, the 2000s. And it showed me things that I did not understand before. I think I started to understand my privilege and I started to become more aware maybe 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. Honestly, when I started dating my husband, because he is from a family of immigrants. He is Hispanic, and I had never dated a Hispanic person. I had never dated a person of color. I had had crushes on them, but I had never really been in a relationship with one, and I had never understood what it was like to not be white. Now, my husband looks white, so he has not really experienced racism against him in his life. But like I said, he comes from immigrants, and that is one of the only reasons why I am the way I am today. If I had never met him, I probably would not be posting right now. I'd probably be silent. I'd probably be thinking, oh, all lives matter. Why are we saying Black Lives Matter? Like, I would probably be pretty racist right now. Now, it's not my intention. It was never my conscious intention to be a racist. I don't think most people are consciously racist, guys. The reason I'm telling you all of this is because if you are a privileged white person watching, you probably drive through neighborhoods with black families and you probably automatically think that it is a bad neighborhood. Regardless of whether you know anything about the neighborhood, you probably just assume that. When you see a black man walking down the street, you probably get a little bit scared. You maybe even cross the street. Let's just be real, guys. We don't have to lie to ourselves. And that's great if you don't have these biases. I'm just talking to people who do. Just because you don't consciously think I hate black people or something doesn't mean that you're not acting racist, or that you don't have a racial bias in your brain, or that you don't have racist tendencies. I'm not sitting here to shame anyone who has that inside of them, because guys, I'm trying to tell you I still have those things inside of me. I don't like to admit this. I don't think any white person would like to admit this, but it's not our faults that we think these things. Our grandparents and our parents and our white families that have been surrounding us for years have been either intentionally or unintentionally teaching us racism for years. Racism is not something that you're born with. You're not a little tiny baby and you suddenly just don't like other black little babies. It's not a thing. Because of that, I'm sure a lot of my white followers watching probably have some things that they don't like that are inside of them. Some racist things that happen inside of them. Whether that is a generalization like, oh, all black people are like this, or black people love this, or all black men are like this, or all black women are like this. Or you have some things like you are scared of black people, or you believe that the market is free and that everyone is equal and that if you just work harder, you can make it to the top. I know that I thought that most of my life. I thought that if you just work hard, you can get off the streets. You can get out of the poor neighborhood that you're in. You can just work your way up. Why wouldn't you be able to work your way up? And do you know why we think that? Because we are not black. And if we worked our way up, we could get to the top. If we work hard enough, we can get to the top. We can make as much money as we want to make. We don't have any real barriers in our way, and we never have. Our race was never enslaved. We were never sold to other people. And then years later, we were not segregated from other people because we were thought to be dangerous or less. We were allowed to use whatever bathroom we wanted and to go into whatever store we wanted or whatever church we wanted to go to. We were allowed to live freely forever. Our people were never publicly hung and killed in front of groups of people for no reason other than the color of their skin. And we never had to have a civil rights movement. We never had to say white lives matter. We never had to say, please stop enslaving us. We never had to say, let us have better jobs. Let me get a mortgage. I guarantee your white ancestors did not have a problem buying a house back in the day because of the color of their skin. Discrimination against people of color was legal until very recently, guys. And it wasn't discrimination against white people. That wasn't a thing. That did not have to become a law. Think about it, guys. There had to be a law that discrimination was illegal. Those laws were made because black people were being treated the way they were. Now, I am not a history major. I am not going to claim to understand the history of the black community, but I will say, guys, watching the movie The 13th on Netflix changed so much of my perspective, and I started to get it, but it wasn't until I was educated. And so I'm asking you guys as white people, as my white followers, I am not coming at you with shame. I am not saying that you are bad or that your parents are bad or your grandparents are bad or whatever, because chances are you don't want to be racist. Your parents never wanted to be racist. Chances are you have black friends. Your parents had black friends. Like, I'm sure that there are many reasons why you are not racist, but that doesn't mean that you don't have biases in your brain, or is it biases? Whatever. It doesn't mean that your brain is just completely inclusive to all colors. It doesn't mean that your parents didn't accidentally or intentionally teach you things that were racist. If you drive through a neighborhood and you see all black families and you think this must be a bad neighborhood, that is a racist mindset that you were taught. I can't go into all the things that you guys probably want to know or that I would like to share with you guys because I frankly am not educated enough. I'm going to let smarter people speak for me when it comes to statistics and the racial things that have been happening in our country. But I am just here to say that it is not enough for you to say, I'm not racist. It's not enough for you to say, love everyone in your community. It's not enough to just not be a racist. You have to be against it. And I know that that's a thing everyone's saying and it's word vomit. You have to be anti-racist, whatever, but it's true. The reason why you have to be anti-racist is because if you don't consciously go against the mindset that you have grown up in, that you have been taught by your ancestors, it's just gonna keep going. We as a young generation, those who are going to have kids soon, those who are going into high school, those who are able to vote this year like myself, we have an opportunity to make a difference. But you can't make a difference if you don't try, because racism is like a big oak tree. It's like a tree that has been growing and it is massive. And it has been poisoning our country for years, since the beginning. There's no time when it wasn't. And you can't just cut off some leaves or cut off some branches or even cut down the tree in general. You literally have to uproot the tree, you have to set it on fire, and you have to go into the ground and make sure that there's not a single ounce of that tree left so it never comes back. You can't just say, oh, I'm not racist. That's the equivalent of just cutting off a branch. The branch is gonna grow back. Racism is something that, especially as privileged white people, we have been taught for generations. And I'm not even talking about politics, guys. I don't care whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or whether this is about economic things or whatever. I really don't care about that. I'm just talking about the basic fact that human beings are equal and that we need to be treated as equal. I keep losing my train of thought in this video because I'm trying to focus and say the right thing, but it's very difficult. I just want you guys to educate yourselves. So if you are someone who's watching this video and you're getting a little bit offended or you're getting a little bit defensive, I don't think that way, I'm not racist, that's okay. I understand you are probably not consciously racist, but it is our duty as white people to rewrite the wrongs that our ancestors did. And the way that we can rewrite those wrongs is to not only treat everyone equally, because you probably already do that in your personal life, but to understand what the Black community has been through. Now, we can actually never understand, but to learn about it and to know the historical facts, to understand what barriers have been put in their way since way before we were born. If you don't understand the history of what has happened in our country, you are going to repeat it. History repeats itself unless you know about it, and actively change it. We can make a difference for the future Black sons, daughters, everything in between. We can make a difference for them. Our generation can be the ones who stop killing them, who stop imprisoning them. We can be the ones who change the legislation, who change the laws. We can bring in a president and an administration who understands these things. Our ancestors were actively racist. Now our country is kind of passively racist. We have to be anti-racist. We have to be against it. We as young people, scrolling on TikTok, on the internet, with our friends, we need to be calling people out for racist comments. We need to be confronting those mindsets inside of us that I talked about. And if you have never been discriminated against, you just don't understand. You cannot understand. So the only thing that we can do is try and make it better. Whether your passion is politics, or your passion is the environment, or your passion is just loving people, or you are a nurse or a doctor or a teacher, or you don't have a job, you're just in high school. Whatever it is, guys, we have gifts. We have things that we're good at, and we have things that we do. And as white people, we have things that we are able to do easily. No, I'm not saying all white people are rich, but generally, white families have much more money than Black families. And that is sure as hell not because Black families are just poorer and they work less. If you look at the way that the Black community has been treated economically and the barriers that they have faced when it comes to building generational wealth over the past couple hundred years, you would understand that. So that is why I encourage you guys to educate yourselves, and I encourage you to learn the history. It's not about politics. It's not about whether you're Republican or Democrat. It's just about history, and it's about people. And it's about the fact that we have mistreated an entire race since the beginning of our country, and we need to do better. So please, guys, I'm sitting here admitting my own privilege. I am speaking about the things that I have thought, the horrifying things that I have believed for years, the things that I was taught. And I am trying to tell you guys these things so that you can confront those things in yourself, because that is the only way that we are going to make a difference. The power has been in white people for an extremely long time. And unfortunately, we still have more of a voice than our Black brothers and sisters. So I encourage you guys to watch TV shows, movies, read books. I'm leaving a whole list in the description of things that you can do to learn, to educate yourself. And I also encourage you to diversify your social medias, to follow more Black influencers or just people in general, to listen to their voice, to see that the stereotypes that you have been taught are not true. You have the power to make a change. Hopefully I'll be back to my regular uploading schedule on Sunday. I feel a little bit weird just going back to normal. I'm not really sure what I'm gonna post about, but we'll see. If you don't have money to donate, but you would like to donate, there's a video in the description that me and my husband made that raises money for various charities. You can read all those charities in the description of the video, but all you have to do is just leave the video playing, let the ads run. You can even turn it down and just play it in the background of your day, and it will raise money without you having to spend $1, because we are going to donate all of the AdSense money from that video to those charities. And you will see those updates on my Instagram as soon as we start doing that. It's hard to keep up because YouTube doesn't like pay you right away, and also they don't show you the amount of money you made right away. So just watch for updates, follow me on Instagram and watch for updates. But yeah, guys, I'm calling you to do better. I'm calling my white brothers, sisters, everything in between to do better, because we can. We have the choice to change the world, or we have the choice to just perpetuate everything that's been happening. We have the choice to be silent and to just let it pass and hope that they forget about it and the protests stop and life goes on. But we also have a choice to change it and to fix it, and to never see another innocent Black person be killed ever again. We have the chance to see the wealth gap shrink. We have a chance to see more opportunity for the Black community. We have a chance to make a difference. We have power. We do. As people, as American citizens, and especially as white people. It's not an attack on you. It's just a fact. So yeah, if you guys have any more questions or you want to talk to me about this, feel free to talk to me on Instagram. Thank you for sitting here and watching me. I feel like this sweater is like my important thing sweater, because I've only worn this in videos where I talk about real, raw, important things, whatever. Yeah, I'll see you guys later on Instagram and everything. Goodbye.